Welcome to CREPN Radio for influential commercial real estate professionals who work with investors, buyers, and sellers of commercial real estate coast to coast. Whether you're an investor, broker, lender, property manager, attorney, or accountant, we're here to learn from the experts.
Welcome to Commercial Real Estate Pro Network's CREPN Radio. We're so glad you joined us. My name's J. Darren Gross. I am a real estate investor and a commercial property insurance broker. I've been an insurance broker for 25 plus years, and my primary client base is and has been real estate professionals, investors, landlords, property managers, developers, design professionals, and lenders. And based on this, I'm continually looking for more information about real estate investing to both help myself in my investments as well as to better serve my clients. The result of these efforts has led to the creation of Commercial Real Estate Pro Network and CREPN Radio. My goal is to have and to share a conversation with experts on topics of interest to commercial real estate professionals and investors. You can find us by searching Commercial Real Estate Pro Network. You'll find that we've got a Facebook page, we've got a YouTube channel, we've got a LinkedIn group. If you're on LinkedIn, I can't stress enough, encourage you enough to check us out. Join the group, Commercial Real Estate Pro Network. There's tons of great information in there. There's lenders, investors, property managers, CPAs, attorneys. It's a great way to network with professionals in commercial real estate. You can also find us on Twitter. We've got our handle at CRE Pro Network. And also, you can look us up on the iTunes in the podcast. You can find us under Commercial Real Estate Pro Network. And last and certainly not least, we've got our website, commercialrealestatepronetwork.com. We hope that you'll take a moment to comment, like, share, and follow us on one of those. Okay, now that you know a little bit about who we are, it's time to set up for today's program. So, about a year, little over a year ago, I guess it was back in April of 14, I had the chance, I was watching TV, and today's guest caught my eye and his story, and I was just so grateful that I had the opportunity earlier today, to speak with our guest. Here's my interview with Matt Scarpuzzi of QuickStop Fire Sprinkler Tools.
All right, so I'm a real estate investor, and I'm also a property insurance broker. And some of the largest property damage claims I've seen have come from water damage. And so with that in mind, I want you to kind of think of where I was when last year, in April of 2014, when I was watching an episode of Shark Tank, in which today's guest on our show was the guest on Shark Tank. And with that, I'd like to welcome Matt Scarpuzzi. Matt, are you there?
I am here, Darren. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us. You sound so much better now than what we tried here just a few minutes ago. I'm so glad this is working out here.
No problem.
So Matt, can you tell us, in the audience and myself, just a little bit about your background, what you do, and your company?
Absolutely. I am currently an engineer with San Diego Fire Rescue Department and have worked for them for about 10 years now. About 4 years ago, I started QuickStop Fire Sprinkler Tools out of kind of along the same lines of what you just described, that over the past 10 years, what we used to see as major damage being caused to buildings from fire has now kind of switched to these large claims coming from the water that's being used, whether it is to extinguish a fire or whether it's just an accidental activation of the sprinkler system that's in the building. So I kind of noticed a pattern, and we really didn't have any good tools to use in the fire service to be able to stop that water damage. So I started designing several products and testing them out and came up with my company that I have now, which is QuickStop Fire Sprinkler Tools.
That's great. The tool, and if I could try and describe it here for our listeners, just on my way I see it, and you correct me on how you would describe it, but my reference point goes back to, as a kid, I had a friend whose dad had three tools: a hammer, a screwdriver, and a vice grip. And I think that growing up, our bikes, there wasn't a bolt that you could put a wrench to anymore by the time we were done with these bikes, because we'd use these compressed pliers kind of things on them, all growing up. But the power of that grip is kind of what I see as the handle for your tool, whereas then on the top there's a U-shaped plate that fits between like the ceiling and then I guess you'd call it the wicket or the basket of the fire sprinkler head, and then the bottom jaw has like a rubber stopper that when you squeeze that handle in, it goes up and stops the water flow. Is that a fair description of the tool, or how would you describe it?
Yeah, absolutely. I tell you what, you hit the nail right on the head. So like I said, when I first designed this, it was designed for firefighters who are going in these buildings and shutting off these sprinkler heads when there's an accident. And what we quickly realized was that a lot of hotels or office buildings, hospitals, apartments with an HOA, these buildings that have fire sprinklers in them, the occupants, whether it be an employee or just someone living there, they wanted to be able to have the tool there on site so they didn't have to wait for us to show up. And, who knows if the fire department near you has these tools. So I really wanted to design a tool that was simple and that the average person with no fire training, no background, would recognize the tool as something familiar and easy to operate, which is why we went with the vice grip design.
Oh, it's the thing that just impressed upon me so clearly was just the simplicity of it. I was amazed at just how, because in 25 plus years of doing insurance, like I said, the damage that these things cause beyond putting out the fire is impressive. I mean, they clearly go to put out the fire, but I think what's lost and most people don't understand is that the guy that knows where the shutoff to the sprinkler system during the day may not be there during the night when the fire happens, and either that or just the capacity in that system that has to drain even once you crank down that valve to shut off the water. I mean, like I said, the biggest claims I've seen have come just from water, and most of it's been from fire suppression systems.
Yeah, the unfortunate thing today, like I said, these systems are great. They do save lives. They should be in every building. I literally have, as a firefighter, I have pulled an unconscious person out of a building who I can tell you would be dead if their fire sprinkler system had not gone off, because it was enough to extinguish the fire. However, it flooded her entire apartment and the restaurant below, which actually went out of business from the amount of damage to it. So they are a life-saving device, but if they continue to flow, they can cause astronomical amounts of damage. I mean, I've seen over $2 million from a single sprinkler head. The great thing about our product is when it's kept on site, whether it's in an office building or a home or a hotel, you isolate that water at the head that's going off. So a lot of people think, just like in the movies, every head in the whole building is going to go off. That's not the case. These heads are designed to, when they're heated, sense that heat and go off one at a time. Or if they're hit accidentally, from a ball hitting it or someone hanging a coat hanger on it, obviously only that one is going to go off. The bad thing about shutting off the water to that whole building is if there's another incident somewhere else and you've shut off the water to that floor or the whole building, now there is no fire suppression system. Whereas our tool, you're allowed to go up and isolate that water source right there. Every other sprinkler head in the entire building is still up and functional if a fire were to happen somewhere else. So if this is a Friday night in a dorm room and some kids knock it off, and say the maintenance guy can't come till Monday morning, our tools are designed to hold water type up to 350 psi, which is enough to compress that water opening long enough until a maintenance person can come out and reset the whole system. So you're actually stopping the water damage, but you're potentially keeping the building, the fire suppression system in the building, safe and functional until the repair can be made.
No, that's an excellent point, because that's a real possibility. I know I'm remembering a situation. There was a Christmas party company Christmas party. We were up at a mountain lodge, and the suppression system had gone off, and it drained the entire system because nobody knew how to shut it off. And as you're just describing, meanwhile, the whole lodge was still trying to carry on all of these Christmas parties. And what I've learned about fires is there's a couple of seasons, if you will, and clearly around the Christmas to New Year season is definitely one that you don't want to have your fire suppression system on the fritz or down. So that's
absolutely
point there.
And we've seen many incidents where, like you said, maybe it's a complex building, it's a resort. Some of them have multiple water supplies. So you shut one off and you think you shut it off, and the water is just continuing to flow. We've seen them upwards to the 38th floor of a high-rise, get all the way down to the parking garage, and basement floors, because obviously gravity just continues to take that water down. So an average sprinkler head puts out about 30 gallons a minute, some of them upwards to 100. So you can see the difference between having this on site in your facility and getting it on there, within 5 minutes or so, and having this go for 30, 40 minutes. Sometimes we've seen them upwards of an hour. You're talking thousands of gallons of water, bathtubs and bathtubs full of water being poured inside your building. That's why, keeping just a tool or two tools, on each floor, depending on the size of the building, is really just such a simple answer to be able to avoid some of these big messes.
That's great. And the point that you mentioned earlier that I just want to reiterate is water will seek its path through its least resistance, or I don't know, there's probably a simpler way to say it, but I've seen it many times where the water on the upper floors finds those little cracks and cuts through the floor and the ceiling, where the water will go through and soak the unit below that and possibly even the unit below that, and just compound your damage. So that's really impressive.
Most of the time we see electrical issues afterwards, and I tell you the worst is the mold issues. We've had companies come out and replace the drywall, pull up the carpet, just to find out that the actual framework of the building, the structure of the building, is starting to have mold grow, and it's just such a mess. So that's why limiting that water damage as fast as you can really does save. Obviously, there's a financial benefit to not having to pay for the repairs, but the headache of having to deal with future mold issues or electrical issues, no one wants that in their home or their business.
No, that's great. So we've talked about the tool and the uses and some of the situations where you've been able to use it. Have you had feedback from others that have used it, or how did you start out just local fire departments using it? How did you start out figuring out you had something and realize you had something that was that had legs, or that had more of an appeal and we definitely
started out local, and my opinion was the best way to get feedback quickly and in the highest volume is to give the tools to the people who would be using it the most. So we went around to all the fire departments in San Diego, and we literally just did our whole entire first production run of this tool and gave them to the firefighters, and we went and we did hands-on training. We got feedback, how they like it, if they like it, what they don't like about it, and we made some changes to the tools. And then we actually left the tools with them and said, use this in the real world, because if there's anything I've learned in the fire service, it's training is very different than the real world, and there's all kinds of other things that can go wrong. So we took about a year and a half to get feedback from these multiple fire departments and kind of hear the stories of success and see what improvements we could make to the tool. Since then, we now have distributors in 8 different countries. We're in thousands of fire departments across the U.S. We've done contracts with some large hospitality companies that have hotels all across the U.S. And, one thing about hotels is people never treat the rooms like they're their home. So, unfortunately, they have a lot of incidents of accidental discharges. So we've made a lot of relationships with with people who unfortunately see these accidents repeatedly, and we've gotten great feedback from them. One of the most surprising, I think, which I didn't see, was construction companies that go into a commercial building and have to do like a remodel, or a hotel says, hey, we want to put the lobby over here, or move the third floor of a hospital from an ICU to an urgent care or something, and they end up demolishing an entire floor. They can't turn their sprinkler system off. They have to leave it pressurized while they're doing construction. And if you can imagine, when you're pulling out drywall and swinging hammers around and doing things, these sprinkler heads get knocked off, and these people are not allowed to just go shut off the water to the building because they're not the fire department. Even though they know there is no fire, it was just an accident, it is a safety concern to have anyone go shut off a building's water supply. So they're not allowed to do that. However, they can use our tool and clamp it on the sprinkler head to stop the water. And we've had several large commercial construction companies have great success. Mostly two of them that we had came from the Chicago area, working on a high-rise there. Their employee hit a head and was able to stop it so quickly that they actually never stopped working on the building. They used a shop vac to suck up the water that was in the vacuum, and they continued the remodel. So, I mean, an average claim on something that you're seeing like that is tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands in damage, not to mention the workers not being able to continue on the job site. So we got an email from the superintendent saying, you have no idea how much money this just saved. We love hearing stories like that.
No, that's impressive. I'm surprised, like, an insurance company hasn't reached out to you and offered it to their clients. I would just think that, I mean, they're the ones that are ultimately paying the claim, and just that kind of knowledge that they would have of the damage. And I don't know, maybe you've thought of approaching them, but I would think that there would be significant interest on their end to make sure their customers had that tool in their hands and knew how to operate, especially if they're looking to pay a claim if they don't have it. So might be something. We've always looked at it as the insurance company is really the big ticket sale that we want, because they're the ones that cut the check at the end of the day, and we feel that they have the best benefit from this by just simply giving it to the maintenance or the owner or the management of the building that they insure. And we've had some great success with that, so much so that we have a company we're contracted with in Canada who is actually giving these out to all the buildings that they insure, because they've realized that if the employees that are on site of those buildings can use this, and the amount of damage is actually less than their deductible, the insurance company never even gets a phone call that there was an incident. And for such a small investment of putting a couple of these tools in every building, they're actually having the building ownership who wants to avoid damage deploy the tool quickly, use it, have a small cleanup, and the building is back up, functional and running. Insurance company never even gets a phone call. So we're really trying to explore that avenue down the road. But anything universal with a large insurance corporation just takes time to get that in the right hands and get that all worked out. But that's definitely on our radar. Sure. So let me ask you, I'm curious about the whole Shark Tank experience. I mean, that's where I first saw you, and it made an indelible mark on my brain. Is like, wow, that's I want to know more about that. And I've always kind of had you on my search there in case I had an opportunity to reach out and talk to you. What was that like? So you mentioned you kind of went through some prototypes. You talked about a year and a half of having it out in the field being used and that. How long were you down the road before you went on Shark Tank, and how was that experience?
Yeah, we were actually only up and running as a company and selling products for about 6 weeks when I went up to LA to film. So we were really just in that infant stage of a company and barely even had numbers. That was my biggest thing that I was nervous about going up there, was I just really started selling. So it's hard to kind of, sell someone on a concept, whereas when you have those proven numbers and that track record, it's a little bit easier. So, but we had such a great response in those 6 weeks. I felt like we had so much potential. And I think, Lori and Kevin both ended up making an offer to me. I think that they saw that there was potential. There was obviously some hoops to jump through with it being such a young company and such a new product. But they offered they offered for the $150,000, but they wanted half of my company. And being that fresh and just starting out, I really saw much more potential than that for half. So respectfully declined their offer. I was up there filming for about an hour and a half, even though the episode was only about 6 or 7 minutes. They were grilling me for about an hour and a half, had some really good questions. It was a great experience, but I have no regret coming back, not making a deal, because business has been great. Like I said, we've branched out into different countries. We're seeing the company spread, and I've been able to keep control of the company and take it in the direction that I want, even though I'm sure their help would have been just astronomical. The product works, and it saves people money, it saves people headaches, saves people from damages, and that's the biggest selling point to it. So I think that as we continue to educate different areas and markets and people about this product, I think it's just going to continue to grow. And Shark Tank did a great job of helping bring some light to the product. We had about 5,000 emails in 24 hours after the show aired, and we sold out within a matter of days of every product we had. So it was a great opportunity.
Well, that's impressive. 24 hours. So from the time, an hour and a half of actual show recording boiled down to, what'd you say, about 6 minutes was the amount of time you were on the tape?
Yeah.
So what was the length of time between recording and to broadcast?
That was about 6 months. They're very good at being upfront with you, and they tell you, look, you're one of so many companies left, and we filmed you. Everything went great. Thank you for coming up here. But there is no guarantee that we're going to air your episode. We don't know what the producers are going to do. And then 3 weeks before it aired, I got a phone call, and they said, here's your date. It's going to air. So, it's challenging being a new, young company and balancing inventory. You don't want to just build up all this inventory and then not have the show air, but at the same time, you don't want the show to air and, have no inventory. So it was a challenge to kind of anticipate what that volume was going to be and the interest was going to be. But I think we did pretty good. Our website crashed the night that it aired because we had, I think, over 1.2 million hits on our website that night. So it was down for about 4 or 5 minutes. And I had my IT guy at our little viewing party, and he immediately jumped on the computer and got it back up. So little speed bump, but it was back up and running, and sales were coming in, so it was good.
Oh, that's great. That's great. So to date then, are you solo, or do you have partners, or how'd you, from there, do you have...
The great part about this is I've basically turned this into a family business. My wife was working in real estate, and we have 2 young kids, and she's been able to actually quit her job and stay home to help me run this business with 2 other employees. So we've been able to keep it kind of a family business, hire a few people, help local economy, and keep my wife here with the kids. So it's been great. As we continue to grow, I'm sure we'll bring in more employees and hopefully keep things local here in San Diego. We don't plan on moving for a while, so depending on how far this goes, we'll see. I'm still working for the fire department. I love being a public servant, and I've been working on a couple other products just by keeping my finger on the pulse. Working for the fire department, I see these needs for different products and things, and I like being in tune with public safety and that kind of stuff. And so hopefully I'll have some more products coming out in the future, and we'll see where it takes the company.
Oh, that's great. I love the fact that you're able to keep it in the family there, and with the kids and your wife help you out there. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm kind of running down my list of questions here, and I'm thinking I've hit kind of the big things that I was trying to address. Is there anything that I missed that you would have liked that I should have asked?
I think if people are listening to this because they have an interest in protecting their building, from this type of water damage, or they're looking to avoid the headache of these claims, they're designed to be used by the public to hopefully avoid a larger fire. And we really kind of push the idea that, similarly, our tool should be kept in your building if it's sprinklered, to avoid a large water damage claim. It's just as simple to plug a sprinkler head using our tool as it is to extinguish a fire with a fire extinguisher, even if you haven't had any experience or training. So that's kind of what we've told people is, we get a lot of phone calls from people who have said, I watched the show a year ago and I saw it and I went, I need to get one of those. And sure enough, last night we had a sprinkler head go off, and I'm kicking myself because now, we're kicked out and we're living in a hotel, or, our business is shut down until the repairs can be made. And for us, it's just such a simple solution to just keep one of these in your building. And we hope you never have to use it, but it's kind of like an insurance policy, it can help you avoid just such a big mess.
No, that's great. And unlike an insurance policy, you buy it and you get to keep it for a long time. It's a one-time and you got to buy another one.
Yeah, it is usable, and we have warranties on all our products, and that's the idea. Is you put it in there. We have a wall mount system that's a clear case with instructions on side, so it can be mounted on a manager's office or on a wall in a lobby. And the user opens it, and they have instructions on how to do it. And it's a one-time purchase. The tool will be there for years and years and years.
That's great. Well, Matt, I want to thank you again for taking some time out of your day to join us today and share your story. And I'm just I can't tell you how excited I am to have a chance to talk with you, and what a great, cool, simple tool that you've created. And I just wish you all the best. And if you have other tools coming down the pipe, like you said, I'd love to talk to you or get a chance to talk to you again later.
Yeah, absolutely, Darren. I really appreciate you taking the time to have me on.
That wraps up my interview with Matt Scarpuzzi of QuickStop Fire Sprinkler Tools. Now, one of the things that was not mentioned in the interview that Matt called me back after the interview and wanted to extend to our listeners is a discount offer. If you go to his site, the site is QuickStopTool.com, all together, QuickStopTool.com. If you go on there and you select some products, put them in your shopping cart, when you're ready to check out, there's a discount offer code that you can stick in. There's an opportunity to stick the code in. And the code is all in caps. It's CREPN. Again, that's capital letters, CREPN. If you do that, you will receive 20% off your purchase. It's extremely generous of Matt, and we could not be happier to be able to offer our listeners that. And thank you to Matt and QuickStop Fire Sprinkler Tools for that offer. So that about wraps up our show today. I hope you enjoyed it. Remember to you go out and find us. You can search Commercial Real Estate Pro Network. You'll find us. We've got our Facebook page. We've got a YouTube channel. We've got a LinkedIn group. If you're on LinkedIn, I cannot encourage you enough to join the group and network with the real estate professionals in the group. There's brokers, lenders, CPAs, property managers, attorneys, a lot of great professionals, great information there. Go check it out. We've also got a Twitter handle at CRE Pro Network. If you're on Twitter, love to hear from you. Please follow us. And also don't forget our website, commercialrealestatepronetwork.com. Until next time, thanks for listening to Commercial Real Estate Pro Network's CREPN Radio.
You're listening to CREPN Radio for influential commercial real estate professionals. For more information on this or any of our guests, like us on Facebook, CREPN Radio.